Welcome to the Award 7 podcast. I'm Rob Lucuria.
I'm DNC Finance Chair Charles Bright.
And I'm Tony Ruiz.
And this week we are talking about all things Christopher Nolan. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive on our thoughts on the Odyssey. And our top five this week is top five Nolan films. But I thought we would just mix up the order a little bit because I have a feeling we may have a letter, Tony. Are we doing that this week? Or are we going to park it for next week? What are your thoughts?
Yes. We do have a letter, and I will zoom through said letter. I'm curious as to why you know that.
Because you told me last week.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, my brain. From David. Some great recommendations this week. I just saw the 3-hour plus Paramount Plus documentary on Jordan Belfort called The Real Wolf of Wall Street, which serves as a great counterpoint to the 2013 movie. Features never before seen footage and interviews. It reveals what the Scorsese film gets right and what it gets wrong. Tony, since you love the Sean Combs docuseries from last year, I think you'll definitely love this. It's such a great hit piece, and I'm all here for it. I also want to remind you guys to check out Haley Kiyoko's queer coming-of-age film Girls Like Girls on digital platforms. I have seen the Odyssey 3 times now in IMAX. Whoa. Wow. You must have quite a bit of free time.
And quite a bank account also.
Yeah, that too. I gotta say, the sound works best in Dolby. The pacing in the story was a little slow compared to previous Nolan films, but the finale was one of the most gripping endings I've ever seen. For me, it's more mid-tier Nolan, but I still love it. Tony, considering how you're not a fan of the usual sword and sandal epics like Gladiator and Ben-Hur, I was very curious to see where you fall on this one. Stay tuned. Wow. Okay. I happen to agree with you about Ben-Hur. I rewatched it in the theater, and I've never been more bored. Charlton Heston has probably never been more stiff on camera. Although I can't bring myself to hate Gladiator, the second one was definitely trash, except for Denzel Washington. Regarding the, this is basically 2 letters that I'm combining into one. Okay. I also wholeheartedly agree about the Emmys limited series categories being moved. It's the stupidest choice I've ever heard. Doing that never makes the show better. Removing acting categories is even worse. And after the shit show that producer Will Packer caused at the Oscars in 22, why do people still think this is a good idea? I wanted to give Reshma a shout out. She was such a great guest last week. Made some really great points about the trolls on Twitter complaining about the Odyssey being woke. Let's take back the word woke and make it into something beautiful, in the words of Jane Fonda. I also agree with her that Variety never should have posted that ridiculous article about which performances in the Odyssey are better. But hey, actually, I'm not going to read that sentence.
All right.
I will say I don't understand ranking Tom Holland last, but to say he's miscast or worse, or is the worst thing in the film is just plain disrespectful. Okay. Tony, I took your recommendation and watched the new remake of Little House on the Prairie because I watched the 70s series with my mom. I loved it so much, and it's even better than the original. See, Tony, now if the Madison could be more like this, then it'd be a far better series.
Ooh.
See, you almost had me there, but then you had to go and ruin it.
Nice fighting words. Nice fighting words.
All right. Wow, that was something. Okay, so all I can think about is Tony's rendition of Elizabeth Taylor saying "Gladiator" at the Golden Globes. That's all I care about. So, that's one of my favorite moments from the Awards 7 podcast.
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think we can just let it hang. Let's
let it hang. That's really and talk about the Odyssey.
Yes, let's do that. So, I'll just briefly mention that I am very biased. I'm a Nolan lover, but I really love this movie. I really did. I've seen it twice already. I'm seeing it again with my daughter in a couple of weeks because we finally got a ticket at some ridiculous hour at the IMAX in Sydney. I saw it in IMAX. I saw it in VMAX. In VMAX, it wasn't as good, but the second time I felt like it went even more swiftly. I didn't find the pacing off at all. I just loved it, and I know a lot of people really love the last hour the most. I actually loved the first 2 hours more than the last one. I love the last, by the way, but I just love the journey with all the different mythological creatures that they encounter. And the score by Ludwig Göransson is just one of the most incredible scores I've ever listened to in my whole life. And I'm not being hyperbolic. That's my initial reaction. Okay. Tony, initial reactions.
I like it a lot. I won't necessarily say uh, I won't say it's my favorite Nolan. You'll see in a little bit, but I feel like I was afraid that this was going to be overpraised, and it lived up to pretty much every expectation I have. It is in my top five of favorite Nolan films. You'll see where it lands shortly. Um, it was also quite fun to take my parents, who I don't think have been to a movie theater since before the pandemic.
Wow.
Um, they're just
That's
not
nice.
big moviegoers, and they absolutely loved every second of it. Um, they could not stop praising it to the hilt. And what I found was that some of the criticisms that I had heard leading up to seeing the film were some of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the things that were, praised to the hilt, we'll get into it in a little bit. Um, I think maybe I had set my expectations a little too high for some of those, but I think this is, I did not see it in IMAX because there's only one genuine IMAX theater in Sacramento, and getting tickets is damn near impossible. And,
Yeah.
I don't need it that badly. Um, but yeah, this is a triumph. This is A plus Nolan for me.
Wow. Charlie, what about you?
I really liked it. It was something that when it was first announced, I did kind of roll my eyes a bit, and it sounds weird to say that because I usually am a big fan of Christopher Nolan. He's probably my of this generation of filmmakers. He's definitely my top three. He might be my favorite. I'd have to do a deeper dive
Mhm.
into the intricacies of different filmmakers. But I, I always feel like when I go to a Nolan movie, usually I feel like I'm in good hands, and I feel like I can trust him. And this movie has not done anything to dissuade me from that. Maybe just on the basis of just the subject matter. It's just not something I'm usually into, but it's still, and I still had fun watching it. It's incredibly well made. The man knows how to make a movie. He doesn't hinge on like visual effects or twists like Michael Bay, Ang Lee nowadays, and M. Night Shyamalan.
Mhm.
He actually understands storytelling, and I had a lot of fun with this one. I thought it was immensely entertaining to watch. It's a thrilling thing to watch. He knows, and he the way he trusts his different department heads, the way he trusts them with his vision is nothing short of incredible. And I had a lot of fun with this. And it's a great reminder of what a great summer blockbuster should be.
Yeah, that's both of you really well said. I wish we could spend hours on this, but we can't. So let's move on a little bit. I do want to do a bit of a sidebar. We did raise this. Tony and I talked about this briefly with Rachel last week about the culture wars, and I just want to. I would like to push back on it again. The loudest critics on X, especially you know who, spent months obsessing over casting choices, perceived political agendas, and who was allowed to play which role. And then what actually happened was the public bought tickets, lots of them. The average moviegoer walked into the cinema asking, is this epic? Does it move me? Is it worth my money? They weren't conducting a census on ancient Greece. Okay. So people just need to chill the fuck out about who's allowed to play what role. That's number one. But also, the audience has voted. The audience says, we love great movies. We love having a good time. And The Odyssey is a 3,000-year-old poem that Christopher Nolan has turned into a work of art. And we all need to just not give any oxygen to the stupid people online. Charlie, what are your thoughts?
I am in wholeheartedly. I mean, to most of this, what I was watching, I'm like, none of this takes away anything from what I'm watching. And if you're gonna get your tits in a tizzy about all of this shit, I mean, I'm not gonna take you seriously unless I hear you going, Why wasn't Nia Vardalos cast in this thing as an actual Greek? I mean, if I'm not hearing that from you, I don't give a shit about what you have to say because it's all moot and you're just talking out of your ass at this point.
Love it.
I
Tony,
mean, it's
just,
nothing took away from me. Why do you hire Lupita Nyong'o? Because she's one of the best fucking actresses we have right
yeah.
now.
And she's fucking
Okay?
beautiful too, by the way.
She's gorgeous. Let me tell you something. I will never forget when she strutted onto that red carpet of the Golden Globes. She didn't even win that evening. Remember, she lost to Jennifer Lawrence, but in that red dress,
I will never
I
forget it.
remember looking at her and going, "Oh my
Holy
God,
shit.
that woman, that is a movie star. That is a
Yeah.
fucking movie star." And
Yeah.
yeah, that's why you get someone like her. And I think like I want to even like hail some of the casting that I didn't realize until the credits. I didn't realize until the credits that this is why Christopher Nolan's a great director. He hired an amazing actor to play the Cyclops, even though you don't know it's him until the end. It's Bill fucking Irwin.
I know.
Bill Irwin's playing the Cyclops in this. I got the chance, like actually a couple months ago, to see Bill Irwin do a one-man show at the Shakespeare Theater about Samuel Beckett, and he's an
Oh.
incredible physical actor. Many people might remember him as what is his set? He had his character on Sesame Street, like Mr. Noodle or something like that. He was always, playing around with his limbs and things like that. He's an incredible actor, and that's why Christopher Nolan is this great filmmaker because he gets these amazing people to perform in his movies, and they give amazing performances. None of the performances to me were like, okay, no, this is a deal breaker. No, the performances were fantastic. Nolan gave a beautiful testament to colorblind casting, I think, to a certain extent, and I think it made the experience all the better for it.
Yeah.
If that's
Tony,
what
do you want
woke
to
is,
just
if that's what woke is, sign
give
me
it?
up.
Son, give it to me. Because
It
really,
reminds me of my favorite shirt. Sounds gay, I'm in.
Tony, what are your thoughts just revisiting now that you've seen it, this whole woke shit that we talked about last week? Talk me through that.
Well, here's the thing. As irritating as all of that discussion is and continues to be, I never paid it any mind mainly because the minute you start complaining about the casting of Helen of Troy as a black woman, saying how that's somehow sacrilegious, please remember, in quote unquote real life, aka mythology, Helen of Troy is the product of Zeus as a goose, or a swan or something,
Something
fucking a
like that.
woman,
A
and
bird.
Helen
Yeah.
of Troy was hatched from an egg.
Yeah.
So,
Much like Lady Gaga.
Pretty much.
yes,
The same.
yes, that maybe they could have cast her, and it would have been perfect casting. I don't know. It's so ridiculous to me that people are looking for historical accuracy in a adaptation of a mythic poem. This is not history.
Yeah. Chill.
Your ignorance, if it wasn't already showing, is now seeping out of every pore on your pox-ridden face. It's so ridiculous. Just go into the movie and watch the goddamn movie. Guess what? I got news for you. They're also maybe they should have, I wish some of these people would have maybe complained about, they did the little snake things that came out and grabbed the people off the ship,
Yeah.
which by the way is one of the most is the most terrifying sequence in the whole film. Maybe that should have been portrayed differently, or they should have, maybe Bill Irwin should have played all the mythical creatures. I don't know. Hell, just have Bill Irwin play every role. Bill Irwin.
He does one-man shows all the time. It's right up his alley.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's totally his thing. So all you people, go fuck yourselves.
I will say it was actually kind of seeing some of even the more conservative people who usually lean into the culture war shit, like Ben Shapiro, going, it is a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
James Woods.
who's the really obnoxious? Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin
Oh
was even
yeah.
going. Yeah, it's pretty, but we all know it's because he had an erection the whole time.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Okay, let's move on. So, look, I think the biggest star of the film is Christopher Nolan. It's like a Christopher Nolan film first, and then the Odyssey second, in my opinion. But the cast is so uniformly wonderful, all of them. I just loved all the performances. It's very hard for me to pick and choose which one I like the most. I'm going to put you both on the spot. I feel like this is Matt Damon's best performance since The Talented Mr. Ripley. But if I had to choose, and Samantha Morton, yeah, she's wonderful. It's a small role, so I would say if I had to choose with gun to the head, I'd probably at this point say Anne Hathaway really impressed me the most. But I'm really biased. I love her. I think she's a great actor, and she was really really fantastic in this film. But like Himesh Patel and Lupita Nyong'o and Tom Holland, they're all great. Tony, what's your favorite performance in the film?
Anne Hathaway. Um,
Wow.
and I did not go in expecting that. But her scenes are so great and so powerful. And this is not a meek woman, but this is also, she is trying with every bit of her resolve to be strong, but you can see the cracks, you can see the crumbling, and her scenes opposite Tom Holland are spectacular. When she loses it towards the end of the film, it's so good. And you have to believe, because they're on screen together for so little amount of time, in order for the drama to work of Odysseus having something to come home to, you have to believe that there is this great bond between Odysseus and Penelope. And you totally
Yeah.
believe it, even though they only have that one scene together, the flashback at the beginning, even though they just have pretty much that one scene, they establish everything. And Hathaway's performance is so great. She's the MVP, followed very closely for me by John Leguizamo,
Oh yes, of
who
course.
is so heartbreaking. And, there's not an ounce of the trap that some comedians get into when they are in, there's no winking at the camera, there's no nothing. It's pure performance. And I mean, those two performances to me were just spectacular.
What about you, Charlie?
it's really tough for me to put one because I actually really like everyone was delivering their A game in here, and usually when I try to like single out a performance, I usually go for the one that surprises me the most. And I loved Anne Hathaway, but I can't say that she surprised me because I've seen Rachel getting married, and obviously she
Mm.
is like just otherworldly in that movie.
Also starring Bill Irwin.
Bill Irwin, yep, yep,
Of
also starring Bill Irwin
course,
in a
yeah.
wonderful performance. Um, I thought Matt Damon really rose to the occasion with this. I think, but then again, he's always been kind of like a hidden. I don't want to say like a hidden gem, but like a hidden weapon for Nolan. Because remember, his whole appearance in Interstellar, it was kind of like built as a surprise, and was to me as well. I don't remember anything about him being highlighted, and then he comes in. It's this. It's like holy shit, there he is, and he was great in Oppenheimer. So I mean, but I really feel like he rose to the occasion with this. I think you really believe him as this kind of this long awaited warrior. I think Charlize Theron's wonderful in the few scenes that she has. Samantha Morton. I love Robert Pattinson as a
Yeah,
villain. I think Robert Pattinson has just had so many wonderful, interesting choices as an actor over the past decade, I want to say.
yeah,
And I really love it when he gets to sink his teeth into something like this, and he rides it very well between being villainous, campy, but also truly villainous, and I really enjoyed that. I think Tom Holland was great. I don't think there was a weak link in here, though. If I go by my personal one, I probably would lean towards Hathaway and Leguizamo and Morton. Leguizamo is someone who I've always loved, and I've always known he's had this kind of thing in him because I really, really was enamored with his performance in Moulin Rouge. I thought he really was just such a wonderful supporting gem in that movie, and to see him
Yeah.
get the notices for this, I'm loving this, and I would love for this to translate to some wonderful critical notices when the end of the year comes. But honestly, I just had such a wonderful time with this. I can't think of a weak link. Hamish Patel also, I
Yeah.
really got to give a lot of credit
Wow.
to. I thought he was absolutely extraordinary in this.
He's so compelling. Like I was just every time he was on the screen, I was drawn to him. He's so wonderful.
Yeah, like
So
you kind of like you want him to betray because you kind of feel
yeah,
like to yourself like it's the right thing it's the smart thing to do. And even
yeah,
sometimes Matt Damon's like you kind of get the subtext of Matt Damon. He's like, if I were in your position, I'd do that too.
yeah, pretty much. Thematically, we could talk at length about this film, but I love it how this is, there's a lot of modern parallels to a veteran returning from war and the psychological damage of conflict, a marriage tested by time, a son searching for identity, the tension between destiny and choice, the fear that home has moved on without you. Like I could go on and on about the things that actually meant the world to me thematically, about really deep and meaningful issues that we all grapple with. But that being said, there are so many set pieces that I just adored, like the Cyclops and various other things. I'm just wondering, Tony, if you had to pinpoint your favorite thing, either thematically or a particular sequence about this film that you can't get out of your head, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. The entire kind of final monologue that Odysseus does when he's talking to Penelope before he reveals
Oh,
himself, and they're
yeah,
cutting back to the attack on Troy, and a lot of what Matt Damon is saying in there is so resonant in terms of the idea that there's this kind of it's kind of almost this pessimistic view of humanity about
yeah,
the horror that we are capable of, and that even when there isn't horror going on, it's more like a stopping point until the next horrific act of man comes in, and that there are always going to be tyrants, wink wink. There's always going to be some oppressive force to fight.
yeah,
uh, I just thought that that sequence is an example of Nolan's brilliance of storytelling. um, and if you think that that's too on the nose, fine, whatever. I don't care. Um, Not everything needs to be subtext.
no,
Sometimes there's just text. But the combination of the long monologue, the cutting back to the flashbacks, the images that he chooses to insert, uh, you know, so brilliant, so just absolutely perfect. Every second, the music, um, that is followed very closely. I talked about the Scylla sequence,
yeah,
which made my entire row jumped at the same
yeah.
time. Um,
Mm.
but also the underworld portion,
Oh, in Hades,
um, where
yeah.
and it is so funny. I want to give a shout out to the great James Remar, who played the old Tiresias, who I was like, I thought that was James Remar, and I didn't realize until I looked at the credits. Who
Wow.
again, great character actor giving a great performance in a great film. He's there for maybe like, his face is mostly covered. Fantastic. Elliot Page in that whole sequence is fantastic.
So good.
So fuck off, transphobes. But that whole underworld sequence was so beautifully done, simple, and that's what things as technically massive as this movie is. It's very simple, good storytelling.
Yeah,
And,
it's really that
yeah,
simple.
it's a perfect example of using technology, even though there's so much practical effects in the movie, so much of it is done in camera. Um, it's using the technology to tell the story, not telling the story through technology. The story is what's center, and the performances and the craft is front and center, and not the bells and whistles. So, but that Matt Damon's monologue was like A plus.
A plus. I'm glad you brought up the Hades underworld sequence because that's the on the poster when Agamemnon's like that spinal gold spinal motif on his ponytail, and when he turns to Odysseus and says, "When you return home, don't just go in blindly. You need to stop. You need to think. You need to assess." And obviously, then we understand why because we'll realize what happened to Agamemnon when he returned home. Oof, it really got me. What about you, Charlie? What's something that you can point to as your favorite thing or scene or whatever about this film?
I love the last battle, especially when Odysseus takes the bow and arrow, and then everything, and then just everything, just like the shit just hits the fan. I absolutely love that. I love the underworld. So I can't believe I forgot about that. But I mean, like, yeah, it's a 3 hour movie, and I've only seen it once so far. So yeah, but I thought that was wonderful and chilling, and I really liked that was a part where Elliot really got to shine. Because his voice, because I don't know if you since he's been transitioning, his voice has been kind of weird, which I know is like a cross thing of the hormones, but having that character in that actually played into that, so that actually made that scene feel all the more authentic.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy that, and just uh Samantha, the whole part with Samantha Morton was disturbing in all the best ways possible. I
Oh,
think,
great.
just truly, truly, just
Talk
like,
about
yeah,
editing. Talk
That's
about
the,
editing. The way that
yeah.
with the hands and
oh
things
my
like that.
God.
So beautiful.
So good. But you know what? You both thankfully haven't raised this particular scene, so now I can quickly talk about it, is the sirens scene because
Mm.
oof, the way that it was done so that we don't hear the siren. We can't hear the sirens because if we hear the sirens, we're going to jump out of the theater as well and go running into the traffic. Like, and then Matt Damon tied to the pole and the way he's screaming, and it's about the things that you had that you know you can't have anymore. And if you, the two of you, and all of you watching and listening today, if you think about those things that in your deepest, darkest heart of hearts that you can't have, and someone is there on a rock, a beautiful siren is calling you and saying that you can have it all. I mean, that is. I want to play a little bit of the song, the this particular track. This is Ludwig Görance's best work, I think, on the whole soundtrack. I have no words. I just loved it so
I,
much.
I
It really did.
I'm just gonna be 100%. I was really hoping that they would pay homage to one of the other tellings of the Odyssey, and because in my head when the sirens are going on, all I'm hearing is "Go to sleep, you little baby." Go to sleep, little baby. And I was just hoping at one point Penelope would say, "But I gotta stay with Odysseus. He's bona fide." I was just hoping I would hear that at some point.
I'm not
But you
sure
know
if
what's
that would
funny?
work.
Because
I
that was
wonder if
my because that was my editor. I'm like, they already told this perfectly in film, and it's called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Yeah.
well, you know what's funny to me is the other thing, and I think this is why that sequence works perfectly because we were talking about it on the way home, and I can imagine, and if somebody hasn't done this yet, I mean, I'm sure somebody has. I'm not that online, so I haven't seen this. But can you imagine how many memes there will be? How many like little short TikTok clips there'll be of some song that everybody hates playing and Matt Damon just tied up screaming, like Rebecca Black's Friday and it's Friday, Friday. Um, if that hasn't happened yet, then internet, you've let me down.
Totally, totally let me down. Okay, let's move on. I think we could probably save our Oscar discussion for another time, unless you both want to go into. We are running out of time. I know, Tony, you have somewhere to be soon, so I think we should move on and maybe revisit this later. I think the
Oh, I have
bottom
a
line
feeling
is
we're going to be talking. We're going to be
a
talking about
lot,
this
a
come
lot.
Oscar season.
I think it's going to do very, very well. But my final thoughts are basically that we loved it. Thank you, Christopher Nolan, once again for dazzling us with your brilliance, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. So that's it on the Odyssey. I think we could, before we go on to our top five, just a brief little rundown on what we're watching. I'll just say that I finished The Bear season 4. I'm a bit behind, and I really loved it. And I actually do think that it's a funny drama, and so there are moments where I laugh. I'm saying, oh, that's just me. I think it's a really good show. I saw the Australian horror film Leviticus. Highly recommend that. It's really good. It's a teenage coming of age queer love story, but not really, and it's also very terrifying. And it's set in regional Victoria. And if you're an Aussie, you know I don't have to say anymore. Regional Victoria. If and also, I'm watching a show called Wonder Man. That's the one where Abdul Mateen III was Yahya Abdul Mateen III was nominated for Best Actor in a Comedy Series. That is so good, guys. I highly recommend it. It's very, very funny. Ben Kingsley is so good. I don't know why he wasn't nominated for this. He is incredible in this show. It's very, very good. It's Marvel, but it's got more of a vibe that it's not really Marvel, but it is. Really, really good show. Okay, Charlie, what are you watching?
Well, as I mentioned before, I'm just back from London. Got back on on Sunday evening. I One of the things I did watch on my flight back, I watched Heartstopper Forever. And it just continued to be just like, God, I wish I had something like this when I was in high school. Although it
Oh,
probably would have given me unrealistic expectations about possibly betting whoever the captain of the lacrosse team was at the time.
yeah.
But boy can dream. It's just really wonderful wrap up to the story, at least from the visual standpoint. And I don't know how much it differs from the graphic novels, but I think it's fantastic. I think Wash Moreland did a fantastic job coming in as a director on this. Um, while I was in London, I took in an evening of the theater. I took my mom, her brother, and her sister to see Oh Mary in London with Cola Scola back in the lead role as Mary Todd Lincoln. And I don't think I've seen my mom or her siblings laugh as hard as they did for that 80
Really?
minutes. They were in stitches the entire time. We also had the fortunate casting of Michael Urie as Mary's teacher. I won't say anything about that. I won't say anything further about that because that gets into spoiler territory and just the wackiness of it. I was in awe of it again because Cole's giving the same energy they gave to this performance as when I saw it in New York 2 years ago. And the fact and the idea that they're doing this 8 times a week is absolutely insane. I don't know
That
how they
blows
have
my
the
mind.
energy to do it.
Yeah.
I also got reacquainted with one of my favorite British shows, Gogglebox,
No, it's
which
great.
is one of the most endearing shows. For those of you who don't know, Gogglebox is a show that just basically films people, various households throughout the UK, reacting to different things on television. So sometimes it's news, sometimes it's like a streaming show, sometimes it's a big reality thing, sometimes it's a game show. The casting of that show is impeccable. The people who they get on that show are just absolutely endearing. There's these three brothers. I can't remember their names, but these three brothers who live together who are just absolutely hilarious. There's a brother and sister. There's this very prim and proper British woman and her husband Giles, he's like, oh, it's okay, married. You know, I saw it on a mug. I said, say it's the same day, different, same shit, same day. Oh, don't say that, Giles, but I saw it on a mug, Mary. You know, it's just
Wow.
absolutely endearing. I don't know if you have the same thing, if you have an Australian version of
We do,
that.
yeah, we do.
It's,
It's
it's,
really good too.
yeah, no, it's an absolutely fantastic show. I also started. I've seen half. I've seen half of Death by Lightning, and yeah, it's a brilliant show. Just absolutely works on so many levels as like a character examination, but also like like the testament to how of the craziness of politics before
Yeah.
our current crazy system came into effect. It's immensely fascinating, immensely wonderful, and I can't wait to watch the rest of it. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers all that I have seen. Oh, I also saw the same day I saw the Odyssey, I also saw The Invite
Oh yeah.
with
What'd you think?
I liked it. May need to stew on it a bit more, but I did like it. I think I'm still like wrestling with like the overall like tone and the message from it, but overall I really did like it. I think it's probably the best Seth Rogen performance I've ever seen.
Cool.
And I really think the cast, but then again, I wouldn't expect any less of Olivia Wilde, Penelope Cruz, and Edward Norton. Um,
Yeah. It's a pretty good
I think
combo.
they're all fantastic in that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing Penelope Cruz get some critics prizes for supporting actress at the end of the year as well.
Fantastic. Tony, what are you watching?
I am continuing the not Fire Island, Burning Man documentary. The Man Will Burn. I'm on the fourth episode, and oh, I cannot wait for Rob to watch this.
I know, I'm so excited.
I was so excited. I did
Oh,
watch that. I did finally watch Beef season 2,
yeah.
and now I'm moving on. Um,
You didn't
uh,
like it. It wasn't for you.
Um, no, not for me.
Okay.
Um, Also, how dare Carrie Mulligan punch Yo Jung Yoon in the face? Don't do that. I love her. Um, um, did I
Okay.
talk about Grant? Did I talk about Grantchester last week? I can't
No,
remember if I
I
did or
think you
not.
I
should
don't think
finish
so. I
yourself.
just watched the episode the other day. I don't think so.
I'm curious about this. Yeah, tell me.
So Grantchester is a long-running British show. It's actually about to air its series finale this coming weekend. It's been on for 11 years, and which again sounds like a lot, but remember, British shows do like 6 episode seasons.
Mhm.
Um, but it's very much it's a murder mystery series about a vicar, aka a priest for non-British people, who helps the local inspector solve murders. And you would think that it might just be this little cozy procedural, and you figure out very quickly that this is not a cozy procedural. Because even though it does have the typical kind of a different case every episode structure,
Mhm.
the main characters, uh, this is a very dark show at times because it's talking about so much stuff. It's talking about class struggles. It's talking about racism. One of the supporting characters in the church is a gay character at a time when homosexuality was against the law in England. It takes place in the 1950s. And the characters are very tortured. There's lots of smoking, lots of drinking, lots of affairs, and it's a very addictive. We've been watching 2 episodes a night for about the last 2 to 3 weeks,
Really? Oh, I better
and
get
we're
into
on it.
this.
We're on season 6 right now.
What's
Um,
what service is it on?
it is on Netflix. I watch it because I have the PBS Masterpiece app on Prime.
Oh.
So you can watch it through either one of those. I don't know how many seasons are on Netflix. It might be all of them. I don't know. While Rob's talking, I'll look it up. But
Give it a go.
you know, it's just you know, it's just good television. It's well made. It's well acted. The main character, they've had 3 different vicars. But the main inspector has been the through line through all. He's played by a lovely actor named Robson Green, and he's kind of like the British Columbo. He's very
Mhm.
dogged, very determined, very frumpy. Wears pretty much a beige overcoat that's kind of like his signature. and he's just delightful. And the chemistry between him and the Vickers, it's a very much a father-son sort of relationship that he has with each of them in different ways, and I just love it.
Wow. Okay, you're really good at selling your show. Both of you are. All right, let's move on to our
I'm gonna have
top
to tell
five.
my mom about this because she loves
Yeah,
her British crime shows. So I'm
especially
gonna have to
because
recommend that to her.
you and Arlene and the fam will probably be feeling a little bit like you're missing old Blighty. So it's maybe a good opportunity to dive into something British so that you feel like you're still there.
Oh,
Okay,
she's doing that regardless. She's finding
I can
all those
imagine.
British shows. So
She's
she ain't missing anything on that level.
so added to the list. Okay, top five Nolan films. I'll go first. So my number five is The Prestige. Uh, I think to me that is Nolan's most underrated film. It's a movie where his obsession with structure and misdirection and audience manipulation is at its purest. And every time I revisit it, I find something new, hidden in plain sight. It's a really, I didn't like it at first, and every time I watch it now, it just keeps going up the list. And at the moment, it's at number five. What about you, Charles? What's your number five?
My number five is The Dark Knight, a film that I was a bit mixed on when I first saw it, but then I saw it again in IMAX the same year, a couple months later, and I really was just blown away by it. To me, it just was like this was like to me like the culmination of uh, what I think a lot of people were projecting they would hope from Christopher Nolan, even though I think he had already really proven it at that point. But this was like really just, on that other level, really taking, a Batman story and really just making it just a great thriller, a great crime thriller with this incredibly obtuse, mysterious character at the center of it that that doesn't answer all the questions, and that's probably a bit of what's most haunting about it, other than the fact that it is the role that led Heath Ledger down this amazing corridor of darkness, which unfortunately ultimately took him from us. But I mean, still, just the everything about that movie is just incredible, and I really feel like at a time when Marvel was just sort of starting the building blocks of what it would become, we had this sort of thing as like as sort of like kind of like a mirror image, but like a different thing of what the superhero genre could be. You didn't even have to see Batman Begins to really understand it. It was just a great fucking movie.
Couldn't said it better myself. Tony, number five.
My number five is Inception, a movie that took me a while to really get. I think I had to watch it like three times before. It was very much like peeling an onion.
It's going
Peeling
to
the
be a recurring
layers.
theme here, I think.
Very
Yeah,
much so. Very much so. But I think it's also one of Nolan's most just visually stunning films. Very few movies can capture. You hear the term dreamlike state in movies a lot. Very few films capture it with the expertise and with a sense of grounded in reality for this kind of fantastical uh, exploration of the human psyche. Um, so yeah, I still think about that movie way more than I probably should.
it's such a testament to what art can do when it just burrows into your brain. At number four for me is Oppenheimer. That film is obviously the one that brought Nolan his Best Picture and Best Director Oscars finally. What impresses me most about that film is he turned a 3 hour drama about theoretical physics and politics and guilt into a genuine blockbuster. Kieran Hines why am I saying Kieran Hines? Who is the star of Oppenheimer? My brain is
Cillian
just
Cillian
Murphy.
Murphy,
Killian Murphy. Thank you.
different hard C Irish
I
actor.
know. I'm so sorry, Killian Murphy. You're an absolute legend. I love you. I apologize. I'm very tired. Incredible performance and another really great Ludwig Göransson score. That movie really, really got me. It was, I think, my second favorite film of that particular year, but it's absolutely my number four for Christopher Nolan. Okay, Charles, what's your number four?
My number four is The Prestige. I worked at a video store when this came out on DVD, and I remember because it was one of those things where remember how sometimes there are two movies that come out that are weirdly similar that come out right around the same time. There was another movie that came out that year called The Illusionist
Oh
with
yeah.
Edward Norton, and I think Paul Giamatti is in it, and of course, The Prestige is by far the better movie. I mean, just a movie that just I love the way that you put that, Rob, with the misdirection, but of course, and doing it, of course, with a movie about magic. You know the way
Yeah.
the way it does all of that, and when you, of course, when the last 10 minutes hit, and you feel like a fucking freight train has run you over, when you're just going,
Oh,
wait, what? You know, it's like
I know.
I cannot imagine seeing that movie in the theater where everybody's just like exclaiming to themselves, "Whoa, what?" You know, at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's one of Christian Bale's best performances, because of the way, because I love the cheekiness of that character, and you know I love the way that his character is almost, especially by the end of the movie, is winking at the audience as well as as well as the little kid when he explains how the magic trick works. Just uh utter just just a great, a total insane film experience that is, to me, the trademark of what a great Nolan movie is.
Totally. I totally agree. Tony, number four.
My number four is The Dark Knight. I, and my only complaint about The Dark Knight, it's literally the only complaint I have, is I don't think they did right by the Two-Face character, the Harvey
Mm,
Dent character. I think, he wasn't allowed to be the character that and maybe it's my own expectation, because that I find that character to have such a tragic arc, and I feel like that arc got a little short shrift. I would have loved. I was not a fan of the third Dark Knight movie. Did not like The Dark Knight Rises at all. Um, I would have thought that the third movie should have been a Two-Face movie. Um, uh, and I think it would have been better for Aaron Eckhart too, because he hasn't really had a hit of that level since that. And I thought, particularly when he switches into the Two-Face character, the rage and the anger that comes out of him is great. But it's the best Batman film ever made. I mean, what else can you say?
yeah.
Although
Well, you're
I will
totally.
ask you, since I am curious, Tony, when you saw the look that they had for the character, what was your reaction when you saw the look of how they made him look, of what they made him look, had Two Face look like? What was your reaction to that?
Brilliant. I loved it. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it, because again, I grew up with the with either the Batman the Animated Series or the god awful performance by Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever, where half of his face looked like an eggplant that had been left out in the sun too long. And he's
Yeah.
basically just doing a version of the Joker with some cackle, and I'm like, what are we doing? I
Yeah.
remember going to
Yeah.
see that. I remember going to see Batman Forever and just in the middle of the movie, just going, "This sucks."
Well, I agree. When Aaron Eckhart's when Two Face turns in the bed and then he exposes the other side of his face, I remember gasping in the cinema. And and that brings me to my number three, which is The Dark Knight. This isn't just one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. I think it's a defining studio film of the 21st century. Really, honestly, I believe that. Heath Ledger, he rightly gets all the attention. That Oscar was so deserved. So he's so missed as an actor. But the real achievement to me of this film is how it transformed what audiences expect from blockbuster storytelling, because it's smart and it's compelling and emotional and visually spectacular. The sound's incredible. The score, everything about that film is so wonderful. I could watch it once a week and get something out of it. That scene of the Joker with his head out of the car like a dog, when dogs like to have the wind in their face. That breaks me every time. What a scene. Okay, let's move on. Your number three, Charles.
My number three is Dunkirk. I when I heard that he was going to do this World War II movie, I didn't know much about the Battle of Dunkirk, but I remember just watching, and I love the way he plays with time. You realize that you're seeing three separate storylines. They're not going on at the same time with each other, but they all transcended to this amazing, amazing thing. And I love that, yet he used these amazing performances out of people like Cillian Murphy, who he had seen in the dark, but also, Mark Rylance is fantastic in that movie. Barry Keoghan is wonderful in that
Mm,
movie. That whole and Kenneth Branagh is fantastic in his scenes in that movie. And I love it. To me, that really put uh, to me is like the movies, and I think Nolan doesn't get enough credit as an ensemble director. He is really is on par with some of those great ensemble directors like Robert Altman, or names are escaping me at this point, but those types of directors. And I think Dunkirk really just brings that out and tells this incredible story of what will end up becoming the basis of Churchill's famous speech about "we will fight them on the air and on the land and everything." And I just adored the way that movie was made, and I just loved being enraptured by it. For the film going experience on its own, it's amazing to me. And the story, I think, doesn't get enough credit and again, speaks to Nolan's ability as both a storyteller, both directorially and with the written word as well.
yeah. Tony, number three.
My number three is Insomnia.
I love Insomnia.
A very underrated film in my opinion. I think it's one of Al Pacino's best performances. I think it's certainly one of Robin Williams' best performances. Um, and it's such I feel like to do a murder mystery well in the 21st century is a very lost art. And I just think that this one works on so many levels about, what guilt does to an individual, and seeing it processed through this lens of lack of sleep, and how it amplifies some of our best and worst instincts. I just think that, and Robin Williams, I've said it multiple times on this podcast, he's so good in this movie and terrifying. Um, and for a lot of people, especially people my age who grew up with Robin Williams, to see this side of him it was very uncomfortable in the best
Yeah.
possible way. So I just think, wow, that's amazing.
And in the same
Yeah.
year, have 1 hour photo as well.
He was
Another
really
great performance.
he was doing such incredible non-comedic work that people often overlook. But yeah, one of the greats. When someone asks you, by the way, what's that one celebrity death that always seems to hit you? I immediately always say Robert Williams. I don't think I will ever
Mm-hmm.
get over it, to be honest, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how much I love and admire him. Um, okay, my number two is the Odyssey. It comes in number two, and honestly, it may climb to number one day. I came away absolutely exhilarated, as we've just discussed. It's everything I ever wanted from a Greek mythology epic. And yeah, I think it's going to really stand the test of time. For me, I judge films about rewatchability. That's my number one concern, of course, the artistic merit of it all, but also, if can I watch this over and over again? Do I want this to be part of my life? And I definitely want the Odyssey to be part of my life. Okay, Charles, what's your number two?
I'm going to also just stress that I am not that throughout any of my rankings here, I am not going to shit on any of Nolan's movies. I am not. That is not what we are here for, and that's not what I'm here for today. There's plenty of other times to do that while we're in our chats ribbing each other. My number two is Oppenheimer. As I think I probably have said this before, but I have this weird, morbid fascination with nuclear war. I kind of feel like I'm in the place that Stanley Kubrick was right before he made Doctor Strangelove. He also had this very weird, and these websites that you have where you can actually run the simulations of what would happen. And I moving from where I was out in the suburbs more to closer to Washington D.C. has made me much more comfortable with the fact that I'm just going to be vaporized should
Yeah.
anything happen, which is probably best case scenario in all of this. Um, uh, you know, uh, rather than our eventual surrender to the glorious Kim Jong Un regime. But that's
Yeah.
another story
And the
altogether.
nuclear
I,
holocaust.
I've always found it very interesting, the fact that this movie has come along and really addressed what I felt was, the really like the questions about nuclear war that we haven't really had to contemplate, especially my generation, because Cold War ended when I was 5. So, we didn't grow up with, air raid drills the way that my mom did, the way that, the way that this, you know,
The way that I
remember,
did.
yeah, or the way that, or the way, or I remember not really understanding the Cuban Missile Crisis until Mad Men season 2 finale, and I was like, oh, okay,
Oh
now I
yeah.
get this whole thing. But Oppenheimer, I really feel like really for a blockbuster really wrestled with these questions about the force that this man helped to unleash upon the world. And I really feel like it really gets at that. It doesn't lot, but and really gets the character, the inner, what's the word I'm looking for? The inner battles that this character
Yeah.
was fighting, and really communicated that extremely well in a way that you wouldn't normally expect from a blockbuster, but it really does it well. I think the supporting performances, I think, even like Josh Hartnett, I was watching that going, that's Josh fucking Hartnett. He's not supposed to be this good,
He's
and he was
great.
fantastic in this movie. I think Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar is very well earned in this. I think he is astounding in that movie. Everyone, Alden Ehrenreich, Emily Blunt, Kenneth Branagh, the whole cast is just it's everything, and especially leading up, because you're like, okay, what's the moment going to be like with the test blast? And it doesn't disappoint.
Oh
And it doesn't
yeah.
disappoint. And I will tell you, I also adored Ludwig Göransson's score. I relished every time we got to hear it at the Oscars, because I really feel like, to me, that is his best score, in my personal opinion. I really think that everything about that score is just amazing. The camera work, the effects. Part of me is almost like, if Nolan had actually wanted to actually do an A bomb detonation to actually film it, I would be like, sure, why not? It's a
Okay.
fantastic movie.
Yeah. Okay. Tony, number two.
Number 2 is the Odyssey for me. Enough said.
Fair enough. We have said plenty. Okay, so this is now the end of our top fives. My honorable mentions are Inception, Dunkirk, and Memento. But my number one is no surprise, Interstellar. That remains my number one film of all time. No Nolan film affects me more deeply on an emotional level. It's a movie about love and loss and parenthood and sacrifice and the passage of time disguised as a science fiction epic. And every time I watch it, I find myself completely swept away by its ambition, its sincerity, and Hans Zimmer's extraordinary score. For me, I don't say this very often. I think there's probably maybe 3 or 4 films that I would call a masterpiece, and this is one of them. Okay, Charles, what's your number one?
I do. I mean, honorable mention, especially to Insomnia. I think the log sequence is one of the most terrifying things I've
Oh
ever
yeah.
seen. But my number one is Memento. I that What a statement to make.
Mm.
I know that wasn't his debut feature, but what a statement to make as like this entrance into the American cinema mindset. To do this kind of movie and to make two genuinely fantastic murder mysteries is something that I think it speaks to the man's talent. The performance, Guy Pearce's performance, is incredible, but it all hinges on the way it's written and the way it's filmed, and everything about that film just adds up to me. It's my second favorite movie of the decade. Of the century, probably so far, right behind United 93 for me. And it's like with Inception, Tony. I had to watch it like 3 times before I really piece together everything that's going on. And then there are little things that go on in that movie that you find yourself, revisiting. Even also Stephen Tobolowsky as Sammy
Yeah.
Jenkins in that movie doesn't get enough credit. I really feel like it truly is just a true masterpiece and a statement of arrival as a filmmaker. And I don't think anyone in my lifetime has done it in quite the way that Nolan did with this movie. That's my number one.
Absolutely. Tony, numero uno.
My number one is Dunkirk. I am a sucker for historical drama, World War II era. I knew a lot about Dunkirk going into the movie, and so I was like, "Okay, movie, what do you got for me?" And then proceeded to just be dazzled by it. Um, Everything, the camera work, the performances, the disjointed feel of it, which I think I love because that is what war is. War is a bunch of little battles, little moments, sometimes happening very far away from each other, sometimes not happening at the same time, adding up to this full story of humanities at its best and its worst. And I think that movie has such brilliant, just everything, every single bit of it. There's not a frame that doesn't work in that film. There's not a look, a performance, a choice that falls flat. It is thrilling. I watch that movie at least twice a year. If it's on, if I see that it's going to be on in the next 24 hours, I'm hitting the record button on my DVR because I'm just going to be like, we're going to watch Dunkirk. How many times have we seen
Yes.
this movie? I don't care. It's perfect.
Yeah,
And that's a testament of the greatness is that you keep on watching it.
that's right. And you get something new out of it every time. And on that note, Christopher Nolan, thank you for being an absolute legend of cinema. We appreciate everything he does. I hope you all enjoyed this chat. I certainly did. I've been looking forward to doing this for some time. Everybody like, share, subscribe, write us a letter at awardsheaven@gmail.com. Follow us on social media, whatever you got to do. We will read out your comments and letters when we have time. In the meantime, everybody have a lovely weekend. Thank you, Charlie and Tony, once again, and we'll see you all next week.